No, I got to lean in.
What is up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Thank you guys so much for joining us for episode 12 of the Real Housewives of New York City recap with me and the lovely Miss Shantae. How are you doing tonight, Shantae?
I'm happy to see you.
So good to see you. We are wrapping up this season. A little bit later on, we are going to recap these reunion looks for better or for worse. But as you can see, we're running a little low on our panel tonight. Things happen. We wanted to still give you guys a live show. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Before we get started, if you have not already, please like or subscribe to this video. If you're in our live chats, thank you guys so much for joining us. We want to hear your take on the craziness that happened this week. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. We get Pavit and Jessel are having lunch. They're talking about the stressors of parenting twins. Pavit was kind of saying, hey, yo, while you were gone on your little girls trip, like this was a lot. These two little kids were a lot to handle. Jessel starts relaying to him Aaron and Sai's weird obsession with like policing how she tells her story and policing how she shows up as her authentic self. Pavit then kind of surprises her and says, yo, we're going to have a little staycation. We're going to stay here. I booked, a 5-star, hotel. We booked some restaurants. And, Shantae, you and I have started this from like episode 1. And I know that on episode 1, we both were kind of like, oh, I don't like how she talks to him, or this is weird. But seeing the two of them together and just kind of their banter, they're both really, really sarcastic. And they've quickly become like one of my favorite couples on any of the franchises. They're just really like nerdy and sarcastic and dry with each other. And I really, really like that. What did you think about that?
Oh, yeah. Their exchange is very much healthy. It's very much something that I look forward to seeing each week. And it's really funny because Pavit is my favorite husband of all the husbands in New York. And this episode, he totally shines in comparison to the other two husbands in a big way. And it was so funny, like how you said their banter, because he was saying like, oh, what if I have a secret nanny and all these things like that, So it's clear that they give each other the blues, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And I love the two of them.
And I can see why when Jessel was explaining their marriage, she says, we started off as like best friends and then a romance kind of blossomed. Their dynamic absolutely does give two people that genuinely like just enjoy BSing with each other, like just enjoy kind of like bouncing off of each other. So it's nice to see. While they're having that, Jenna meets up with Brynn at a gay bar. The two ladies are just kind of going back and forth. Brynn wants to get Jenna back into the dating saddle. Jenna's been single for about a month or so now, and so Brynn's kind of there to play wing woman. The weird flirting is still kind of going on, but I'm glad that she kind of steps away when another girl comes up. This scene was kind of endearing because it's Jenna trying to flirt. And I would think that like Jenna being like this big creative director, like boss in the fashion industry, that's like the preconceived notion I had of her before she came on. But like she's shown that she's a little bit awkward. She's kind of like insecure about herself, and seeing her try to flirt with this girl, I was like, oh my gosh, can somebody, like, it's endearing. Like I could see a lot of women probably fall for this or like are attracted to her because she's so like unassuming and self-deprecating and stuff. Brynn does come in and is like, all right, let's seal the deal. This is how you're going to go. You're going to ask for my friend's number. You're going to kiss her hand. You're going to walk away. And it kind of played like it was really interesting to see this dynamic. Brynn was actually tolerable here. The fun party girl scene kind of like fit. She was kind of getting Jenna out of her shell. Jenna got on stage and was, kind of faux strip teasing and taking tips and stuff from the crowd. So it was nice to see Jenna a little relaxed and a little loose. And if anybody on this cast was going to do that, this is Brynn's time to to step up and do what she does best. Would you take? Oh, you have a different opinion. Okay,
I didn't know if Brynn was being a wing woman or if she was like low key cat blocking a little bit because she had the girl use a Sharpie to write her number. I was like, what about the cell phones? Can't y'all just exchange numbers right away? So she's like putting herself in the middle of it. She's like, okay, I'm gonna take a picture of it and I'm gonna text you the number on my phone. I was like, why can't you just put the numbers in y'all phones? This is like the technology age. And then she tells the girl to walk away and never talk to her until, Jenna contacts her. And then when Jenna was, doing her little sexy dance, Bryn's the one all putting her, self in front of Jenna. So it was giving me like Brynn was acting like the wingman, but low key she was still kind of, I think, shooting her shot with Jenna a little bit, whether it was playful or not. But it was strange. I was like, Brynn, you're going a little too hard. Like you got the girl there, but then you do all these things to block it. Like why?
So do you think she was blocking Jenna's chance, or do you think it was Brynn just trying to be the center of attention?
Oh, it's both.
And are they one and the same? Can two things be true at the same time?
Because that's when you should have exited. You said you had your pajamas, you was gonna go find somebody else, but then you ended up in Jenna's face the whole rest of the night and chasing the girl away. I was like, come on.
Good point.
That's a weird wing woman to me.
The next thing we get, Aaron and Sai and their husbands are having dinner. Sai mentions that she wants the husbands to kind of get to know each other a little bit better, because it isn't always easy for couples to make friends. And she says Abe and I think Sai's husband's name is it David or Dave?
I think it's Dave, yeah.
One of them. She says that they've met before and they like each other, and so they want to kind of like see if they can like be couple friends. The ladies are telling each other or telling their husbands about this game that they were playing in Anguilla, where Brynn is just like, everybody give me the phone and I'm going to text your spouses like you. So everybody is, they're trying to get Jessel some play. And so Brynn texts Pavit, seriously, I'm so wet right now. And Pavit responds, you should really get a towel and dry off. And I absolutely love that response from Pavit, because everybody thinks Jessel is just kind of like this weird wet rag with him, and he really be shading her right back. And I love that dynamic with them. So the girls can't be, fun for too long. Aaron continues like the conversation, jumping right in to be messy, spreading all of Jessel and Pavit's business, asking them hypothetically as a concerned friend, what would you do if your spouse didn't sleep with you for 2 years? And Abe immediately, without hesitation, says that he would absolutely sleep with somebody else. And after this scene, I fully believe he already has. And Aaron is like, well, what happens if I was going through something? And in my mind, I'm thinking like, you mean like Jessel is going through something like trauma from a fertility journey, postpartum depression, most likely? Like, you ladies have not let up on this lady since y'all have met her. Sai's husband says that if it had been that long, the marriage would be over. Something about the two, like these couples talking about somebody else's marriage just seems odd and a little icky for me. And then Abe and Aaron get into this like weird conversation about like swinging and threesomes. And it really only reinforces that, again, in my mind, allegedly, he's already slept with somebody else. Like, he's way too comfortable saying like, yeah, I absolutely would have a threesome in 10 years. I'm like, bro, you're like 33. Like, you're already talking about threesomes with your wife. They're going back and forth on ground rules that they've already created. You could tell Sai's uncomfortable, but I'm actually surprised she didn't insert her opinions more in this scene, considering she has a long history of opening her mouth when nobody really asked. Aaron says that she would sleep with a middle-of-the-road gay guy, and I'm just kind of like, both Aaron and Sai hop to like top of the list of like lame housewives after this. Like, it was just so cringy and like unenjoyable for me to watch. Like, these two are just not enjoyable to watch together. Separately, cool, I can stomach. Together, it's just a lot of nausea. What are your thoughts on threesomes?
Cringe.
Not threesomes in general. Threesomes with them, not in general.
Oh, it was a cringe fest because, again, Pavit is easily the best husband out of all these husbands, because these men were sitting there talking about how they would just cheat on their wives or like dump them for, not having sex for a couple months. And it's like, really? Even when Aaron asked, like, what if I'm, sick or going through something? And the husband was like, nope, deuces, I'm going. And then, yeah, with the swinging thing, it definitely felt to me like more was shared than Erin was comfortable with, because even in her confessional, Erin was like, I kind of don't appreciate Abe's,
Yeah.
candidness here. And that's embarrassing. They just had this big public vow renewal that Erin was being all types of dramatic about for just the flirting. And then you have Abe sitting there talking about, yeah, I'm opening the bedroom in 10 years. Like, he has this very well
The
thought
timeline.
plan. It's like he's literally like spending a lot of mental effort imagining himself not being monogamous with his wife. So it's like very, very
So I ask
embarrassing.
you,
I would be embarrassed if I was Erin.
embarrassed.
Yes,
This
embarrassing.
scene in hindsight, do you think, knowing that Abe has been very candid about threesomes and stuff, that perhaps this could be why Erin was as upset with Brynn flirting? And even though we all agree it was in poor taste, but like her reaction was, and the way she drug it out for episode after episode, I'm watching this like, oh, oh, this could be why you're a little upset that any woman is approaching your husband on some side stuff.
Yeah, it's giving that the foundation is not
There's
that
cracks.
firm. Yeah, so if Brynn could shake the table like that with just jokes, and then Abe is talking this much about planning to sleep with other people, I really hope
The
that
call's coming from inside the house.
they praying on their marriage, because it's not giving like the strongest foundation. I would bet on Jessel and Pavit staying together now longer, because I remember at first a lot of people were like, "Oh, Jessel and Pavit might get divorced. Maybe they came on the show to get divorced." But after Abe's little confessions, I'm switching. I feel like people who bet against Jessel and Pavit would need to
Yeah, rethink that bet.
rethink that.
You ain't making any money off that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, moving on, we see Brynn popping up looking like Indiana Jones at this book collector store, and then like Madeline in her confessional. I can't pin Brynn's fashion down because nothing she wears is ever like congruent with anything she's worn before. It's like she just finds something that's like, yeah, this will work today. And it's always feeling very like period costumey. It doesn't ever feel like actual clothes. But I actually prefer this version of Brynn versus like the sex crazed airhead. And I suppose like that's the duality of people because we all have different interests. But like this Brynn, who is pre-med and plays chess and likes going to seek out rare books as collectibles. And when she explained why she prefers older books without pictures is because they're easier to find because people didn't find that much value in them. Like it really makes her interesting. Like, give me more of these. Give me more of this. Like who is Brynn outside of just like the party girl facade that you put on? Because I actually like this. And then again, her brother calls and they're kind of catching up. And apparently it's the anniversary of when their grandmother passed. And, this is another scene where Brynn gets to humanize herself. And I've said it literally every single episode. If we just get more real talk from Brynn, real emotion, real familial connection and stuff, like it, I enjoy her. It's all the other superficial stuff that's kind of like, okay, enough. So before we get into Ubah's event, did you want to have anything to add about Miss Brynn and the Temple of Doom?
Yes, I do like the editors finally, I guess, showing another side to her with the books.
Yeah.
And then the call with her brother, I thought it was a good way to show the different ways that people grieve. It seems like her and her brother might be the instrumental grievers, because they're getting this whole project done for their grandma with, having the tree planting in Central Park. And it seems like it's a very involved process, with the, they said the plaque is going to take like 3 to 4 months. And then she has all these meetings, like she has to go meet with the tree person, so she was saying how it might not even be till like maybe the summer that they have progress on the tree. But I think that's a very cool way that actually a lot of people grieve by like turning a project into it, like planting a tree or like, building a memorial or, something that makes it so that you're channeling your energy into something that's a little more positive than just, falling apart.
And you can tell she loved her grandmother.
Okay. Exactly. As much as she loved her grandmother, everybody would understand if, she just fell apart. But just the fact that she's trying to, channel her love, in this healthy way shows that Brynn has her life together more than, what people let on.
Yeah, and I think you may have been the one a couple of episodes we discussed it. Like Brynn puts on the dumb party girl act, but she's not dumb in any way,
Not,
shape, or
yeah.
form. Like she is emotionally in tune with what's going on. Like she does understand things that keep her busy, and I think for as every time she gets on my nerves or I'm just kind of sick of seeing her, she does have a good heart, and I think she genuinely just wants to like do stuff to make her grandmother proud. You can tell that she loves her. So I'm very interested to see like Brynn's journey, particularly now that she's not like the villain of the show. Cy and Aaron have very fully settled into that. I think Brynn will be allowed to kind of like maybe grow a little bit more next season, and we get to see a little more of this. And she can still be the fun party girl and the quirky girl and the likes to take shots and stuff, but like let's see more. I like this Brynn. I like finding out more about who Brynn is.
Yeah, she's good for
So as we so as we go to Ubah's events, Jenna and the ladies start arriving. One of the things that I will say about Ubah is I love that she genuinely seems to have good energy around her. She greeted every single one of the ladies with like bear hugs and kisses. And like, you can tell that it was this inviting, like, welcome to my home. Thank you so much for being here. And even when Aaron showed up, it was the, hi, how are you doing? Like, we had 2 episodes of her kind of losing her cool and stuff. And she was very, some people thought she overdid it, but it's like, okay, maybe she reached her boiling point then. But whenever she's back with these women, like it is like love and jokes and like, welcome to my home. I'm so happy to have you here. Versus some other women we've seen where they will, if they're not feeling it, they'll drown the room in negative energy and they'll avoid people and they'll, it's okay. It's okay. We can move past that. Well, while the ladies are assembling, Brynn calls and says that it's her turn to have COVID. And I'm like, that poor bookstore owner, like, tell her to get tested.
You know what I think though? I think Ubah might have gave it to her. Remember when she was coughing all over the food and then when she saw the hair? Remember that scene? I was like, ooh, close your mouth. Like, you just had COVID. And she's sitting there like the hair is gross going, and now look, Brynn got COVID. So please cover your mouth when y'all cough. COVID is spreading again. And Ubah thought she was being cute, but she might have killed Brynn down to the ankle. Brynn was down.
Stop talking to my fruit, lady.
Yes, woman down.
One other thing that I will say is all of the ladies, like, they looked really, really cute. I like Cy's hair down. I thought she looked really, really pretty. Jenna looked pretty. Jessel, I loves that. Like, she has this like comfortable like sense of style. Like everything is like draped and whatever. I enjoy that. Aaron came dressed like Jennifer Aniston in season 1 of Friends. Like she had like high-waisted, light wash jeans, an overstuffed like green blazer. And I'm like, this is before she started working at Ralph Lauren, obviously. But in her confessional, she's saying that she could really use some healing after Anguilla. And I really want to take this time to make things right because it was weird and whatever. And I'm like, girl, you really were the cause of a lot of that. So like, I don't know what you think is going to happen. The ladies start by sharing some of their intentions with the woman that's hosting it. Some of them just want to be a little more grounded and present with where they're at. They want to live a little more authentically, a little more truthfully. Ubah kind of surprises Jenna because Jenna says that Ubah seems to be just like the brightest bubble and she seems to have tons of self-confidence and self-love. But Ubah says, I want to be able to love myself as much as I outwardly love other people. And so I thought this was a really nice way to start the episode or start their little group outing. The lady has a drum circle, tells everybody to get up, and it's nice, to see them have a little bit of fun and just kind of be silly. I will say, even though if we find out Cy and Aaron didn't necessarily think that it was the best exercise, I'm glad that they participated. They're connecting with their inner child. This is where we see Cy kind of saying, she doesn't like it. She thinks it's weird. She has nothing, she's laughing about it. She thinks that this is just like a weird, kind of exercise. Meanwhile, Ubah is just kind of overtaken with emotion about stuff. And we've seen Ubah's journey this season, missing her mother and kind of feeling, you know, her business is going in some bigger directions and kind of wishing her mother was here. Jessel kind of reaches a hand over and is comforting her. And Sai in her confessional is saying, you know, this is great. It was a weird kind of exercise, but I don't need any healing because there's nothing wrong with me. And that has to be one of the funniest things that Sai has ever said. Because I'm like, baby, there's a litany of things that you should probably talk to a therapist about. Aaron says that the whole interaction was weird, a little bit long, but overall it was pleasant. And I feel like that was probably shadier than just saying she didn't like it. They're kind of wrapping up, and Jessel asks Aaron to go to lunch, or asks Sai to go to lunch, excuse me. And Sai immediately sounds uninterested. You know, I just said most people will drown the room in negative energy. This was Sai right now. In her confessional, she says that she really doesn't have a desire to go to lunch with Jessel because she doesn't know what her and Jessel would talk about. And I'm confused because she's been yelling at Jessel the entire season to open up to her and to be more transparent and to be more vulnerable with her. But then now she's like, I don't want to talk to her about anything. So Jessel will tell the ladies that her and Pavit have a staycation. She bought toys and lingerie, and Jenna and Ubah genuinely seem very, very interested in this and are like cheering her on. But I couldn't help, and I don't know if you caught this, but like the energy with Aaron and Sai just seemed like they were more interested in finding out other ways to gossip or make fun about them with. And it just seemed like it seemed a little need them removed. But either way, what did you think about the healing ceremony? And were you surprised at the two women who didn't like it, proclaiming they didn't like it?
Well, I think this was the best or the most positive part of the episode. And like Sean S said in the comments, you know, it was an overall good episode. And the reason why Ubah, you know, had this healing session was partly because, you know, of all the tensions that, you know, had arisen with the girls. But I think also she did it to help herself too, because you saw she was the one that got, you know, the most emotional about, you know, her mother. And you saw Jessel had to kind of like give her a hand and comfort her, you know. So I just like how Ubah's showing proactively how to deal with trauma, because a lot of the other examples in the show, aka Sai, are saying, "Oh, I'm perfect," you know. Meanwhile, they're trauma dumping and just being so not empathetic and insensitive to everybody else, you know. So it's like it's clear that healing sessions and therapy, all those things are positive, you know. So the fact that Sai was so negative about it is not surprising, especially given how a lot of her dynamics in the group seem to be unhealthy. You know, obviously we don't know her and we're seeing what the cameras are showing us, but from what the cameras are showing us, it's like she could benefit from more healing sessions, you know,
a couple more
therapy. Yeah.
more.
So
you know, Sai
was really good for this. But yeah, we're gonna see.
I agree. I said one of our the comments are saying, you know, Sai does need healing. She is a little bit of a contradiction. Sean S, you know, makes a good point. He says, I do like that Sai speaks her mind. And one of the things that I liked Sai about, and I think you did as well, at the beginning was she did have this like no nonsense kind of Bronxy type of attitude. And I'm going to say whatever comes out of my mouth, and I'm not really going to apologize, which that's great. But I think Sai does this thing, and she reminds me of Twitter a lot, where like people will say just like the rudest, like weirdest stuff unprovoked, and then just be like, oh, well, I'm just being real. Like, y'all can't beat me up. I'm going to say whatever it is I'm going to say. And if y'all don't like it, unfollow me. And it's just kind of like, okay, well, there does need to be a sense of like couth or empathy as well. Like you can't walk around being this big bad bitch all the time and not expect people to find you unlikable or undesirable to be around. And part of me thinks that attitude may also be a bit of a put on, like the same which Brynn is trying to overdo like the party girl. Maybe Sai is trying to be this really tough, like loud, you know, girl to kind of mask that obviously there's some stuff there that has been undealt with. And, you know, we see in this next season, she's on a date with her daughter. She seems like a really great mother. She's, you know, encouraging her daughter to continue like dancing. She's gushing over her daughter's passion. She took her, out to eat. And I always think it's so cute when some of the housewives do this versus just like throw them with a nanny and be done with it. But even with her daughter, she can't help but play Struggle Olympics because she was like, well, did you know I wanted to be a gymnast, but I was so poor and I couldn't do it. So you're lucky. And I'm like, my God, this girl is like 9. Can this girl just have anything?
Yeah, the girl stops her too. She was like, all right, ASMR.
Right? She's like, this is awkward for me, Mom.
Yeah.
So I will say, her daughter is so adorable, and like her personality, she reminds me a lot of Sai. Like the daughter's just talkative and like bubbly and up and everything. And I'm like, okay, she reminds me a little bit of Jen Aiden's daughters, that one that just puts on a show every time the camera's around. And I love seeing some of the kids like that you can tell they just gravitate towards any kind of attention. I love that. So we're at Jessel and Pavit's date night. We've all been waiting for this. So she's kind of telling her, Pavit is saying that, I've got a Michelin star restaurant, maybe not Michelin star. She was like, it's okay. We don't need any place stuffy. She said, Pavit says, yeah, it'll be 1 star. And they're kind of laughing because Jessel says, wow, I'm not even worth a 3-star restaurant. She's telling him that, they got toys and just different stuff. She's got surprises. Then she brings out some lingerie and says, this is going to be for dessert. And Pavit just kind of has this look on his face and then says, can we also have like real dessert? It's really awkward. And the two of them together look like teenagers. Like you could tell they genuinely enjoy being around each other. But Jessel comes out in the lingerie. So Pavit is finally like, go try it on. Let me see what we got going on. And she comes out in the lingerie and she looks great. And like seeing her in this, I'm like, well, yeah, I'd kind of be pissed at the old lady slip that Jenna got me at the beginning of season 2. Cause like, look. And so I'm glad that she, we went from that episode 2 or 3 where she was like, I'm uncomfortable in this. I don't like the way my body looks right now. And to like, she's on national TV and like a sexy slip for her husband. So I was like, all right, Jessel, growth. We love that. Ubah and Brynn, and simultaneously you're talking about the event. Ubah's uploading information to her. Subject turns to this staycation that we just witnessed. Brynn wants to show up in housekeeping uniforms just to kind of like spy. She says that they went shopping together and she helped pick out some stuff. Ubah kind of jokes that, no, you have COVID. I'm going to call the health department on you. And again, Ubah seems to be very, very excited that Jessel and Pavit are having this little date night. So what did you think of, Struggle Olympics with the daughter, date night, with everything?
Oh, I feel like this is kind of like a old school parent thing to do. There have been times, as great as like my parents have been, they've also been like, oh, why are you crying? When I was your age, I ain't have this, that, and this, and you can tell that, again, Sai hasn't probably processed, what she's been through with other people, because she's using her daughter, to, tell whatever she's been through. And in this moment, as a parent, if it was my child, I would want to just like listen to their hard story of the audition and, ask questions about, okay, what did you do? How did you feel? What do you plan to do next time? This was her daughter's moment, but again, she kind of couldn't help herself but to be like, I struggled more than you, and I,
like
didn't
the girl
have
is 9,
nothing.
of course she's not struggling.
But yeah, my couch to do gymnastics on, and I never took a trip until I was in college, and it's like she can't help herself. And I know as a parent, I don't want to repeat those things, because all older parents, I think, have done this before, where they, tell their kids how, easy they have it compared to them. But that's a good thing. I think parents generally want to make their next generation, not have to struggle as much. But just the fact that Sai, did accomplish that, because she clearly is great at business and all these things. But I think she's just can't help herself but to like one up people about, like struggle and trauma. So it's a pattern, and I don't know if she sees it, but hopefully when she watches the show, she can try to stop doing it. But I know as a parent, I would want to make space for my child future children, to just have their moments of sharing, what's hard for them and be that listening ear. If they ask about, my life, I'll tell them. And if there's time where, everybody's sharing, it's different. But if it's a clear moment where like your child had a hard audition or a hard day and they're telling you about it, focus on your child, be there for them. That's what I think as a parent. And then when it comes to, what was it, Pavit and Jessel and the lingerie, right? I see why she didn't like Jenna's lingerie even more, because she had a very risque piece on, and I applaud her for having the confidence, to put it on. Yes, she had the coat over, but you could see that there was like nothing going on with the fabric. It was very sheer, so she bared a lot for the cameras and for her husband. So she's growing into her, housewife confidence. And even on Watch What Happens Live, she's been on a couple times. Two times as like the main guest, and then one time where she was just randomly in the audience, even though she
and
told
still somehow
Andy,
became the topic of conversation.
Yes, because she told Andy that she wasn't coming that day, that she wasn't available, and she's still showing up in the audience. So Jessel is becoming iconic in a lot of ways, and I think here, you could see that her confidence has grown from since that Christmas tree, lingerie scene where she's like hunched over and embarrassed, but now she's all like, "Hey, look at me!" And I love to see that growth. We want to see our housewives grow,
This scene we've seen in a lot of different franchises. Anytime a lingerie scene pops up or a date night scene, it's usually very cringy. And it's usually like, please, like, I don't want to be watching this. There's nothing entertaining about this. But I think for me, because Pavit and Jessel literally cannot take anything seriously when they're together, it made the scene enjoyable to watch because they're joking about it. They're laughing about it. Their energy just really, their dynamic is really, really great. And I definitely have grown to enjoy watching them. I agree with everything you said. We love seeing a housewife that, is kind of coming into her own and showing up. So good for you, Jessel. So now we're at the infamous lunch that Sai made it very clear she does not want to go to. So Sai thought she was going to get Jessel, and she shows up 20 minutes late. Gag. Jessel shows up 20 minutes after Sai shows up. Jessel walks in laughing, but she's looking cute. She is apologetic, like, I'm so sorry, I'm late, and Sai is pissed. She immediately lets it know that she's mad. She lets it know that it's annoyed. Sai is saying, I'm so sorry, it took me forever to get here. Sai asked her, well, why did you pick this place? And she says, because it was more convenient for you. Like, I wanted to give you a closer place to come. She asked if she's going to drink. So I was like, no, I don't work. I'm not going to drink in the rain. And I'm like, girl, okay, like, calm down. You ate and you're still mad? Like, okay. So Jessel is just kind of like, okay, I'm filling you in about the date night. Sai asks her if her and Pavit have consummated the relationship. And Jessel says they did, that she was nervous and, it had been a while and it took her, a while to get warmed up. In her confessional, Sai says she doesn't believe that they had sex. And I'm just like, I really don't know what you want this woman to say to you. Like, you don't believe her when she talks. You want her to talk more. It's literally Sai is looking for Jessel to fail at every single turn. Jessel starts talking about this mileage run and Pavit going to Vietnam. We talked about the scene a couple of seasons ago, or a couple of episodes ago, where we were all really confused why he would do this. I really wasn't aware of mileage runs because I am not rich or important enough to have any kind of like Sky Mile club that I need to maintain my miles for. But apparently this is a thing. And I learned this on Twitter with people kind of giving a little bit of background on this. But it looks like I'm not the only one who's never experienced that life, because Sai doesn't believe her and says she's never heard of something like that before. And for someone being an influencer who's supposed to be well-traveled, I was a little surprised that she doesn't understand the concept of keeping Sky Miles up. Jessel kind of says, okay, well, now we're going to get to the meat and potatoes about the conversation. She lets it be known that whenever they were talking to Anguilla about her past, she did not mean to make it seem like she was trying to compare or compete with Sai's story. She seems really, really earnest and apologetic. And she's like, that wasn't my intention. I was just trying to share. I don't want you to think that I would do that. And Sai just kind of sits stone-faced and says, I don't care. Jessel kind of wants to make sure that they're good. Sai's like, if this is all you were going to tell me, you could have just phoned me. Why are we here? And I'm like, what the hell? Like, where? Okay. She tells Jessel that the group and her get mad whenever they feel like somebody isn't being truthful. And she says that she just wants Sai to own it and to be honest and open, and the group will leave her alone. And I was like, well, no, that's not true, because then you don't believe anything that she says when she is open and truthful. She kind of pseudo apologizes and says that she knows she comes off very, very abrasive, but she only does it because she wants to know the truth. And Jessel is honest as well. She says, I'm scared to share stuff with you guys because I can't win. Every single time that I try to share something with you, you and Aaron like jump on me. You tear me apart. You dissect every single word that I say. I can't finish my story. I'm confused. What can I do? And Sai, lying through her teeth, says, well, the reason why I don't believe anything you say is because you take a long time to get there and I don't understand the story. And in my mind, I'm like, that's a little bit true, but you also don't give this lady any time to finish what she's saying. Like, you already have a preconceived notion in your head that this lady is lying and rich and fake and not bringing anything up. So Sai is still kind of like, okay, I understand that. I'll try to be more vulnerable. She said she really connected with Sai's mother's story about her battle with addiction, because the uncle that Jessel had been living with in New York was actually an alcoholic and had battled alcoholism and eventually passed away due to the disease. Jessel gets emotional and is saying, well, I don't really talk about it a whole lot. I blame myself a lot because I was living with him. I didn't do enough to help him out. It's really difficult for me to share that part of my life. And she's crying and she's opening her heart. And guess what? Sai still doesn't think this is good enough. And in her confessional, she's saying, I don't understand why she is telling me this. I'm tired of talking about my mom. I don't bring this stuff up. Like, she's trying to compete with me again. And I'm like, you literally talk about your struggles at every opportunity that you get. It's like, hi, my name is Sai. Also, my mother was an alcoholic and I was poor. Like, I know you're poor before I know your last name. Sai is exceptionally rude and just kind of says like, okay, well, if this is what we're going to talk about, then I'm going to go ahead and leave. And she literally gets up. Jessel looks shocked, but says, go ahead and go and I'll pay for lunch. And Sai doesn't argue. He's like, all right, bye. And just walks out of the lunch, leaving Jessel there by herself to get a drink and actually have fun. And it's really shocking to me how Sai has easily become one of the most unlikable people on a housewife franchise. And I'm like adding Courtney and Diana in with that mix too. Like, I had such high hopes for her, but my God, my God. What did you think?
Oh, so bad. And let's start with the lateness, because like I talked about this on my channel. I would say it over and over again, anywhere, any place I go, because I also struggled with lateness at one point. And a lot of the times when people don't want to be somewhere, that's the main reason why they're late. And Sai admitted it. She was like, yeah, I didn't want to go. So she's 20 minutes late, right? And Jessel herself, she was later than Sai, but honestly, both of them were late. And I think both of them didn't really want to be there. Or in Jessel's case, she was scared of having this conversation because of all the negative interactions she's had with Aaron and Sai, And sometimes it is life, because life happens. Like if the train breaks down, if there's an accident, that can make you late. But like when it's like a pattern, or it's like not the norm for someone, who's generally on time and they are late, a lot of times because they don't want to be somewhere, So yeah. I think that lateness made Sai come into the interaction a little more negative, because she's clearly probably pissed off that she thought she would make Jessel wait, but then Jessel had her waiting, which was a little funny. It's like petty, but kind of funny. And then during the conversation, it's so strange because Sai and Aaron were talking about Jessel all day, but when Jessel's trying to talk about herself, Sai has no patience. So it's like everybody can talk about Jessel except Jessel. to Sai. It's just so irritating to watch. And I know that, the apology for some people was kind of like debated online because there were some people that were saying like, well, they would never apologize about telling their story in their life, but the fact that Jessel did try to apologize and try to clear up the not trying to compete thing came from a good place, and I thought that Sai would at least accept the apology. But talking about I don't care, someone in the comments said that every time, almost every episode, Sai saying I don't care to someone, but it's like you were literally yelling at this girl to tell her story. You're talking about her sex life and not sharing every episode, to your man, your girlfriend Aaron, so it's like you do care, but
a lot.
in front
You
of
care a
her,
lot.
yeah, you just want to be rude and mean. And as much as, we don't know Sai, like I said, and some of it is editing, it's like there's too many scenes with her being negative, too many. And it's really irritating to watch. So I can't imagine what it was like for Jessel, to be there on the end of all this negativity. But she tries again, it's like as if being told, I don't care what's enough. She's like, all right, let me regroup. Let me try to connect again. And she literally cries in front of Sai and explains, well, maybe it is hard for me to talk about that period of my life because, the uncle I was living with was an alcoholic and he passed away, and she's crying, clearly, pouring her heart out, and Sai still just like gets up, is rude about it. And I just hope that Jessel sees that this girl's not your friend. Stop trying. There's nothing you can say. Even with the sex comment, when Jessel told her, I had sex with my husband, it took us 20 minutes to warm up. She told everybody how they went to a hotel, and so I was like, no, I don't believe her. Dismissing her story again, claiming that there isn't enough detail when it's like, the girl gave you timestamps. She said it took her 20 minutes, to do the deed. She gave you a location at a hotel. Like, what are you talking about? Clearly something's in Sai's head. And I'm sorry, I'm seeing it more as like xenophobia because this, again, is someone who doesn't come from the same culture as you. She's an immigrant. She's already told you, that her experience is different than whatever thing you've drummed up in your head. But Sai is rejecting what Jessel says at every turn and wants to hold on to her stereotypes. And it's so weird. Like, it's hard to watch. And it's giving there's a bigger, deeper reason,
Yeah. Sai and people in the comments have said this over and over. Like, I think she's good for the show because the show absolutely needs an unapologetic villain. And Sai has kind of positioned herself as the de facto villain over these episodes. And whether or not she wants to be that, I think that abrasiveness in her personality that's just her default. And maybe it's because she had to grow up tough and like, obviously she had to raise herself. So this is, you grow up really quickly, you earn a lot of defense mechanisms. But at the same time, it's like, if you're trying to forge bonds with people, like who is going to want to open up to you whenever you are actively rejecting everything that they say? You're actively rejecting their advances in friendship. Like, yeah, Jessel is annoying. Jessel herself has said, like, yeah, I'm a little bit annoying. Everybody knows that. But ultimately, over the past 12 episodes, we have seen nothing but Jessel just genuinely like trying to connect with people and laughing and being fun. I think after that, situation in the Hamptons with the nightgown, okay, I was a little bit mean. I am sorry for that. I think Sai doesn't accidentally be mean. Sai knows exactly what she's doing. She knows exactly how she's coming across. She's cognizant of it. And I don't think she wants to change. I don't think she's interested in anybody thinking that she is any other way. Like, she genuinely she has no problem with it. And it's obviously it's coming to a head. Next week, we see her and Jessel kind of get into it. And then, we've seen teasers of her and Brynn screaming at each other and yelling. So I think, people are starting to come around to who she is. And you're not going to have a lot of allies when this is the way that you interact with people. If you're getting in, like, you're the common denominator. It's you and Aaron at this point. So yeah, that was the end of the episode. Overall, it was a good episode. You know, we were saying in our group chat that the people that we had favorites at the very beginning of the season is absolutely not who we have favorites at the end of the season, except Jenna. Like, she's been my number one from day one. So before we open up the chat lines, we're going to go ahead and review the reunion looks. We know that if you guys follow us on Twitter or follow the Housewives on Twitter, this kind of divided some people. We understand that it was their first reunion. Yeah, there were some surprises there. So let's see. Let me gauge and see if we've got these pictures up and ready. Here we go. All right. So first of all, Shantae, what do you think of Aaron?
Well, actually, this is perfect because this is my worst dress and best dress right here. So I guess I can
wow, there we go.
Right to the chase. I actually think that Ubah looks stunning.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a model. She just obviously has the genetics to always look stunning. And then next to Aaron, it's like they look like they're going to two different places. Aaron looked like she's going to maybe a little fancier mommy picnic. And then Ubah looked like she's gonna be on TV, you know, in the spotlight. So I don't like what Aaron's got on. I think, especially for her body type, it's like her legs are not leggings.
Yeah.
I don't know if the slits aren't high enough. Because sometimes, you know, if you have a really dramatic slit, yeah, like that can help. But she doesn't have the legs to pull off the dress at the length that it is now, and then the slits aren't showing enough more leg to help it out, you know. So it just is not flattering because her shoulders are looking very, very extra wide too. So she needs somebody to help her. Her hair always looks like that. Her makeup always looks like that. It just, again, it looks like she's going to maybe like a slightly fancier picnic. And I wish
she looks like lunch or brunch.
Oh yeah, I wish she would have did maybe a gown or maybe like a more dramatic, shorter dress with a dramatic slit.
Yeah.
And then Ubah did it with that ball gown and her beauty.
I think Ubah, I agree. Ubah looks gorgeous. There's something like with the flower in her hair and just the cut of that dress. It's very like Lena Horne, like very like 1920s jazzy type of lounge singer. I think she looks absolutely gorgeous. All right, let's move on to the next ones that we've got. So for me, I think Sai for me was my best dressed. I think her hair, I think her makeup. Now, granted, we were joking about this hair, saying it looked like someone gave her a tight fade. Like, is pulled tight. Like, she's got a part in it. I can tell a Dominican did that hair. Like,
yeah, she got a lineup. When you look at the close up, you could see the razor mark and like the tan where the lineup was. Yeah.
But I just genuinely think that this dress is a gorgeous dress. I would have liked it in a different color, like maybe like an emerald green or like a cerulean or like a blue or something. But I think that she looks fantastic. Finally, she's showing up in some like fashions. We've been kind of riding her hard the whole season. Jessel, I think Jessel looks so cute, so pretty. I like that this is a little nod to almost like her culture, like a sari type drape dress. I also would have liked this in a different color, maybe like a blush color, or also some jewel tones or emerald. But I think she looks really, really pretty. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Sai would be my second best dress. Because, like I said, her legs were legging. The slit was not a little childish slit like Aaron's slit. I don't know what those slits were doing on Aaron, but you saw Sai had a slit. You know, it was making her look way taller than she is because Sai is not tall, you know.
She's
but
tiny.
Here, yes, her legs are getting to leg because the slit is doing its job. I love long sleeves. That's kind of one of my personal things. So I think the sleeves were smart. And then like a trick for older women is, you know, to hide the neck because we don't want Giselle type, you know, roast on us. So sometimes, you know, doing the neck covering with the what's that? A turtleneck vibe. That's a smart look, especially for older women. And then Jessel, I liked her outfit too. It's a little safe because she kind of looks like that a lot. Even the hair and the makeup again.
Very the drapes.
Was safe. Sai went and got a lineup. She took a risk, So I would like Jessel to take a little bit more risk, but I think she looks gorgeous. But yeah, it was very safe to me. So Ubah's number one. I do think Sai was number two.
Sai did it for me. All right. So before we show these last two, the lines are open. The link is in the chat. If you want to join us, sound off on anything that we said, agree, disagree, go ahead and get in the queue and we will recap these last two and then bring you on. Let's bring Jenna and Brynn. So at first, as much as I love Jenna, at first I was a little taken aback by this because I was like, oh, this is extremely casual. But then the more that I saw it, I was like, this is actually very, very trendy and on brand for Jenna Lyons. Like, she looks like Jenna MF Lyons. Like, this is bossy. I love that she's got this blazer. It's kind of the little peekaboo, which has become her signature, and these jeans. Like, it works for her. Her makeup looks great. Like, it's giving me like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm walking in a room and I'm kind of owning it. Oh my God, Brandon, these doilies. What is going on? These damn doilies. Like, she just hopped off the Mayflower, but was like the sluttiest pilgrim on the Mayflower. Like,
but her hair is herring.
Her hair, she looks gorgeous. One, Brynn is a beautiful girl. So like, but this is the thing. I don't know Brynn stylistically, like who she is. She seems to wear a lot of velour or a lot of like juicy couture type tracksuit fabric. I don't know what is going on.
Make me choke. Oh my gosh. All the jokes. You're like not giving me a chance to even breathe between the Oh, because everything you said about Brynn is true. The doilies, that's the first thing I thought when I saw the sleeve. But then, especially this episode, I was like, she loved her grandmother. Maybe it was a tribute to her grandmother. And I was thinking, this might be one of her grandmother's dress. So that's why I was like, I'm not going to give Brynn too much. Because I could totally see this being like grandma collection, vintage, found this in the closet when we was cleaning out the house after the funeral. So I don't want to give Brynn too much about that. But her hair looked great because you see, Brynn's hair can get really wild, especially we saw in Anguilla. So whoever laid her hair did a really good job. And again, I think the dress, it is kind of like her personality. She got the shoulders out, the legs out. So I thought that while, it wasn't my favorite look, it still, showed off Brynn's personality in a way. She got the shoulders, the legs, and the hair. She did look nice, but not the best. And then Jenna, I'm on the fence about it, but because it's so on brand, I had to accept it. That's why she wasn't, my best dress either. But I do have a thing about wearing hard pants when you're sitting for extended periods of time, because that can't be comfortable. Like, I don't even fly in jeans, no matter if my flight is like 2 or 3 hours, because it's uncomfortable, especially like where the seams are. You ever take off jeans and have the seam indented all up in your leg? So I don't think it's a smart thing for reunions. I think people don't wear jeans to reunions for a reason. Even the first Atlanta reunion, Kim Zolciak looked almost the same as Jenna, to be honest. But she had on soft black slacks because it's way more comfortable, to sit in soft pants. And they filmed for hours. So as much as Jenna thought she might have ate with them jeans, I'm sure her legs said otherwise at the end of the reunion because hard pants for all them hours. That's what in my culture, sorry, from Guyana, we call jeans hard pants. But those jeans, they're hard, and I'm sure her legs were crying. I'm sure the seams of the jeans might still be imprinted in her skin because that's a little too long to sit down in a chair with hard pants. But that's her style. And when you look at the top, there's better pictures. It shows off, her chesticles. She liked that area out. So again, because it's so on brand for Jenna, I accepted it, but I don't think it's a good thing to wear jeans to a reunion. I don't think it's good to wear jeans anytime you're sitting for long periods of time. So I hope Jenna learned her lesson, and it's I guess iconic for her, but that's a no for me. Sorry.
As I'm looking at it, like I don't know what else Jenna Lyons would have worn. Like I'm trying to like she would have. She's not a gown girl. She's kind of done the Met Gala with the big ball gown underneath, and then like the blazer and stuff. So like I genuinely I don't know what else she would have worn. This is just so on brand with her. Really, everybody on here, nobody surprised me. Everybody wore what I had imagined they were going to wear, for better or for worse, except for
what would have
Brynn.
worked? I think khaki slacks or like
just a little
black
nod.
Slacks. Because yeah, she's famous for the khaki too. Didn't she make khaki popping in the 2000s? So I would have gone with either black slacks or to be more on brand. Khaki's also on brand for her. But them hard pants, I'm sorry, I'm sure her legs were crying.
Well, we'll see if they look different on camera. I believe we've got 2 more episodes before the reunion. We will be recapping all of them live. So thank you guys. It doesn't look like we have any callers in the queue, so we'll go ahead and wrap this up tonight. Shantae, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Everybody in the comments, we've got Malibu Surfer, Dream, MJ, Exact Lee, Samaria, Sean S, of course.
No, it
who
ain't
else we got in here? Green Girl. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Like and subscribe to this video. Share this video. We love chatting with you guys every single week. We do have a couple of updates. Love and Hip Hop ATL we're not filming that this week. We're not sure if there's going to be a reunion for that show. They haven't really announced it yet with all the Erica Mena stuff happening. So stay tuned, subscribe to our channel. You will be the first to know whenever we announce a show. Also, if you missed our Lunch and Lean last Thursday, please go to our page right now and look it. We were the first to spill the tea about Mia and Gordon's marital problems, which they just announced. When was it? I think a day or 2 days after we had dropped the tea. And if you were a follower on our channel, our Lunch and Lean also alluded to this about a month ago in one of our videos. So subscribe to us, get the gossip first, sound off on it. And then when it comes to pass, you can tell your friends that you were the first to know. So thank you guys again. We appreciate you guys. I can't stress this enough. You really have made this season fun. This is a new show. It could have gone completely uninterested to a lot of people, but it's so good seeing you guys every single week. Shantae, it's been great being with you every week, and I'm glad that I get to wrap up the season with you over the next couple episodes. So you guys, thank y'all so much. Have a great night. Have a safe week.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
We'll see y'all next week.
Thank you, Jamie, for hosting so well.
Love you, babe.
This week only.